Good evening, everyone. My name is Sai Pranav Gandhi, and I am here to talk about fostering computational thinking through computer-aided design in robotics competitions. So, you might be wondering, what is CAD? CAD, or computer-aided design, is a software where you can virtually design things before physically building them. On the right, you can see a video of me building a drivetrain with a few wheels on CAD. On the left is a video of a software known as Fusion 360, which is a CAD software. I have used this software many times when taking part in robotics competitions to design robots with efficiency. One such competition is the First Global Challenge, also known as FGC, where one team is chosen to represent each country and over 180 countries participate. In the year 2024, I was lucky to be selected as one of the team members to represent Team India. As part of this competition, there is a challenge where within 2.5 minutes, you have to face against and with other teams in a 3 versus 3 format and pick up different colored balls and place them at different heights. There are 12 tubes per team, which are at different heights, within which the robot has to place one green ball and one blue ball in order to dispense an orange ball. Doing this in the shortest amount of time possible will give you the maximum number of points. On the right, you can see a photo of our robot, and you can see a robot in action in the video. The robot is to be teleoperated and controlled by a driver, which can drive team. It can consist of up to 4 members. In order to design this robot, we had to extensively use CAD. The CAD software helped reduce our design time because we would not have to break apart the robot and rebuild it every time we wanted to make even a small change. By using CAD, we could instantly see whether or not our design would work, saving us countless hours and effort. One mechanism of a robot which benefited largely from CAD was the slider mechanism. This mechanism was responsible for reaching the various heights at which to put the balls. We used CAD to optimize the lengths and sizes of the different components to get the perfect ratio which could achieve all the required heights. Another mechanism where we used CAD heavily was the storage mechanism. The storage mechanism of our robot would open up and would be able to store up to 4 balls at one time, which was more than what other teams were doing. And this is what allowed us to gain an edge in the competition and score major points. While designing with CAD, we were also being slowly imbibed with the principles of computational thinking. So when we looked at the challenge of building a robot that can take the balls and put them at the required heights, we would break it down into subcomponents. This would involve moving the robot with the chassis and wheels, storing the balls in the mechanism, using a slider to lift them to various heights, and a release mechanism which could deposit them accurately. This process was decomposition. And whenever we prototyped and improved upon those designs, removed unnecessary functions, and focused on efficiency and powerful design, we would use abstraction. Further, especially within the slider, where we use mathematical and physical concepts in a design process known as parametric modeling, where variables are assigned to each aspect of the design. In the slider, this would involve the number of stages, the length of each component, and the sizes. We were able to use this and many maths principles in order to get the perfect lengths and sizes. This process was algorithmic thinking. Thank you.
So if you come to the last slide, decomposition and algorithmic thinking, we are kind of inherent to any software. Can you give an example where you use abstraction for this design?
So one design is the ball storage mechanism in particular, where what many teams were doing was to have balls on each side of the mechanism, which would take a lot of space. So you can see in the video of the match over here that there are many robots and all of them use different mechanisms, but they're only able to store one or two balls. That's because they focus on having balls and fully surrounding the ball. But within our design process, through abstraction, we realized that we only need to have the ball supported mostly from the bottom. This allowed us to reduce the number of components, and as you can see in the design, it looks a lot more simpler with extensions that come from the side instead of being built in place. So this is where we used abstraction in order to simplify the design and make it more effective.
Do you see patterns there? See, in CAD, complex design is always broken down in terms of smaller parts, and there will be some patterns also there. Some symmetric patterns will be there. Okay. So, did you use those concepts also in while?
Although not as major as decomposition, pattern recognition was still a part, mainly in the terms of, as you can see in the slider, each stage is almost a slight variation of the previous stage. That is a certain pattern. Then we had to use patterns to create efficient mounting brackets, where you had to use the patterns of screws which would have the most effective grip, or have to use different components in the similar ways.
See, entire thing itself is computational thinking, right? I mean, it's not only because the whole activity itself of going and doing something is computational thinking, getting down into algorithm is very much there. It has to look at that. It is being controlled by a human being, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's being controlled by the human being.
Yeah, in which standard?
Now I'm in 10th.
Bravo, we did it.
So, what support did you get from your parents, apart from the financial?
So my parents always help me and they try to support me and help me understand things which I don't understand. So my mother is a PhD graduate in physics. So I learn a lot of advanced physics concepts such as friction, inertia, and motors and things like that from her. And my father also helps me whenever he can, and they always make sure that I have all the support.
Yeah. He is also national rank one Baker's talent, so we should have a round of applause. So, Baker's talents that we conduct, so he was one of our national rank one. So I think we should appreciate that too.